All right, guys, Wes here. Welcome back to the channel. And today we're going to talk about Hogwarts Legacy again, but this time we're going to be taking it in a different approach. And it's undeniable that at times Hogwarts Legacy does seem a little too good to be true. The long-awaited Harry Potter game seems like the perfect blend of fan service and genuinely solid gameplay, but as the release date gets closer, it's hard not to get a little bit cynical about all of the things that could go wrong. And I'll be honest, I've been taking a look at Hogwarts Legacy through rose-colored glasses, mainly because I'm a fan of the franchise, and I am looking forward to the game like this, but it is undeniable that the modern gaming industry has been doing us dirty over the last few years. So when a game like Hogwarts Legacy comes along and promises to be this amazing experience that we've all been waiting over a decade for, it can be easy to get swept up in the hype train, but equally easy to look at all of the promises that could be broken. Despite how excited I am for Hogwarts Legacy, I can't deny that many things could go wrong here, and looking at the game's development and the studio behind it, I can't lie to you guys and just say everything will be totally fine no matter what. There are a ton of things that could lead to this game's failure, and as much as I don't want that to happen, I feel like they're at least worth talking about. So let's get off the hype train for just a few minutes and take a step back to look at Hogwarts Legacy from a more critical point of view, because if there's one thing that the modern gaming industry has taught me, it's that you really can't be too cynical about these things anymore. Real quick, guys, I'm giving away a PS5 and a game of your choice. I'll leave the details at the end of the video, so definitely enter that. The winner will be announced at 90k subs. Hogwarts Legacy is being developed by Avalanche Software, which probably isn't a studio that many of you are familiar with. The company was founded in 1995 in Salt Lake City, Utah, and were mainly known for pumping out games for Disney during the mid to late 2000s. In fact, if you were playing Disney games on the PS2 or PS3, you probably played at least one of Avalanche Software's games. This is the game studio behind games like Meet the Robinsons, Chicken Little, Bolt, Toy Story 3, and Cars 2. Disney fans know the mid to late 2000s as kind of a dark age for the company, and the games kind of reflected that. Disney actually bought out Avalanche Software in 2005 and basically had them on retainer for pumping out games for their new movies, and while none of these games were amazing, you can't really blame the developers for that. I mean, what are you supposed to do when Disney calls you up and tells you to make a Chicken Little game in 10 months or something ridiculous like that? But interestingly, things sort of turned around for Avalanche with the release of Disney Infinity in 2013, which was a surprisingly good sandbox game that merged all of Disney's properties into one giant game world. If you never played Disney Infinity games, they were genuinely pretty good, especially for fans of those movies and franchises, but after a few years, merchandise sales were down, Disney Infinity revenue was in the toilet, and Disney completely shut Avalanche Software down in 2016. Thankfully for us, Warner Bros. Interactive swooped in the following year, bought Avalanche Software, reopened the offices, and immediately put them to work on a massive Harry Potter game. While I'm glad Avalanche was saved, one of the main concerns people have with this game currently is the simple fact that it's way bigger than anything they've done before, and it may be a bit out of their range. Hogwarts Legacy is a freaking huge game. The game world itself is massive, but on top of that, it's filled with thousands of NPCs, creatures, enemies. There are dozens of storylines, quests, spells, skill trees, and so on and so forth. Even by RPG standards, Hogwarts Legacy seems like it's an absolutely massive title, and it's easy to get a little concerned when you remember that it's being made by the same people who made the freaking Chicken Little game. Granted, there's not the same developers at the studio currently. Avalanche Software did build upon their current game. Hogwarts Legacy is also being co-developed with Portkey Games, another studio that was formed by Warner Bros. And maybe I'm not being the most charitable, but Avalanche's track record isn't that great. There's no way around that. For an experienced RPG studio, Hogwarts Legacy would be a pretty massive undertaking, so I can only imagine how much of a shift this game must have been for the studio as a whole that mainly focused on short, small-scale 3D platformers. I'm not saying it's impossible, and I don't want to sound like a developer can never change their direction, but this is a huge change no matter how you look at it, and you have to wonder if they were truly up to the task. Now, this isn't the first time where a relatively new studio or a studio that is being built from the ground up again has a brand new project that ends up being a great success, which is a strong possibility, but right now we are kind of going off of their promises, which is kind of a flip of a coin, and it's the reason why there is a large shadow of uncertainty surrounding Hogwarts Legacy for a lot of gamers. Granted, this could be the reason why they've taken their time with this project, and I'll never be upset at a studio for taking the time they need to make sure this game is as good as possible, and I will happily eat my words if this ends up being amazing, as I think it might be, and as much as the Harry Potter fan in me wants it to be. But to the people that are concerned about whether or not Avalanche Software is actually up to the task of a large-scale game like this, I totally hear you and I empathize. The modern gaming ecosystem is full of disappointment. Everyone knows about Cyberpunk 2077. For me, the Cyberpunk 2077 launch failure was personal to me. The sheer level of hype that I had whenever the Cyberpunk 2077 trailer was revealed during the Xbox E3 conference, I absolutely freaked out, and I'm even sure that some of you have probably seen my reaction because it was so genuine and I was very naive, and I got that same feeling watching the initial Hogwarts Legacy reveal trailer. But let's not fully open up the Cyberpunk 2077 wounds. Either way, there have been a lot of open world games that have dramatically missed the mark in recent memory. Remember Mass Effect Andromeda? Remember Biomutant? Remember Fallout 76? And I know Marvel's Avengers wasn't really an open world game, but it's hard not to mention when talking about disappointing video games the last few years. I'm all for ambitious projects, but it seems like ambitions have been a little bit too high recently, and quality control has been at an all-time low. And if you've been watching my channel for a while, then you know that I posted Battlefield 2042 content as well. So it seems like disappointment just kind of chases me, which is why I'm making this video. Games are releasing incredibly buggy because a lot of these big studios and publishers know that they can get away with pushing something out the door and fixing it later. That is, if they feel like it. I mean, Hogwarts Legacy is being published by Warner Bros., which is the same company that recently released the incredibly underwhelming and 30 FPS on PS5 Gotham Knights, so it's hard not to have a little voice in the back of your mind that says this might be the same thing. Now, to Warner Brothers' credit, they did give out Gotham Knights copies incredibly early, which that same thing can't be said with a game like Callisto Protocol, that while I did receive the game early, it was under embargo, so I couldn't really express my concerns until the game was already pretty much released. So if I can just say this, I really implore WB Games to give out copies of Hogwarts Legacy like they did with Gotham Knights early, and make sure that the review embargo is lifted prior to the game releasing so that consumers can make an educated decision. Granted, I don't think there's going to be as many technical issues with Hogwarts Legacy as there was with Gotham Knights, as long as their promise of delivering a 60 FPS mode for Hogwarts Legacy is still happening for next-gen consoles, then that alone would alleviate many concerns. Gotham Knights released and it was 30 FPS, and people were like, I'm not playing 30 FPS on my PS5. So as long as Hogwarts Legacy has that performance and that graphics mode, and it's not filled with bugs and glitches, then I don't think we're going to have anything similar happen to this game that happened with Gotham Knights. Now, if there's one thing that the modern gaming industry is known for, it's delays, and Hogwarts Legacy is no stranger to those. This game started development all the way back in 2017, and gameplay originally leaked in 2018 without any kind of announcement or reveal that the project is actually real, likely due to a series of internal delays. The game wasn't actually announced until late 2020, but even then it was supposed to come out in 2021. The game was later delayed to 2022 and then again to 2023, and then after that the Xbox One, PS4, and Switch versions were pushed back even further in the year. As of this video's production, the Xbox One and PS4 versions of Hogwarts Legacy are set to launch on April 4th, almost 2 months after the PC and current gen release, and the Switch version was pushed back all the way to July, and frankly I wouldn't be surprised if these past gen versions end up getting delayed even further or just canceled outright. Again, this game is being published by WB, which is the same company that flat out canceled the PS4 and Xbox One versions of Gotham Knights just a few months before the launch due to technical issues. And I guess it's a little bit reassuring that the Xbox One, PS4, and Switch versions have been delayed to specific dates instead of just being canceled or indefinitely pushed back, but the fact that these versions were delayed so far seems to suggest there are some internal issues. It's never a great sign when a game gets delayed multiple times like this, and I'm not sure how much confidence I have in this staggered release schedule. There will always be some technical issues with a massive open world game like Hogwarts Legacy, but it's hard not to think about the fact that this game was originally going to come out 2 years ago. The previous generation versions may be causing some technical issues with the game as a whole, as we've seen many times since the launch of the Series X and PlayStation 5. Plus, getting a game of this size up and running on the Switch will be a miracle in its own right. With how many technical issues the AAA gaming industry has seen over the last few years, it's really hard to ignore the number of delays that Hogwarts Legacy has fallen victim to, and the staggered release schedule with different versions does raise a few red flags. I don't mean to sound like a cynic through all of this, because if this is done well, Hogwarts Legacy could end up being one of my favorite games of all time. I'm dead serious when I say that this game could end up being played for years on end like Skyrim or The Witcher 3, aside from the fact that Harry Potter fans everywhere will finally have the game that they've been waiting decades for. This could also be a great way for people to get their feet wet in this universe and finally get invested in the franchise. I grew up on the Harry Potter books and movies, but ever since that saga concluded, the amount of good media set in this universe has really gone down. The main Harry Potter story was an experience that hasn't been replicated, and while the first Fantastic Beasts movie was pretty solid, the sequels just haven't captured that same kind of magic and imagination that the Harry versus Voldemort saga did, which is quite a shame because this universe is amazing and there's so many great stories that could be told. If Hogwarts Legacy is done well, it could not only be a fantastic fantasy game about a magical world and an awesome wizarding academy, but it could also be the gateway that new Harry Potter fans need to discover this world and experience these amazing stories. I really want Hogwarts Legacy to be good, and I truly think it will be, but I would be lying to you if I said I was entirely 100% confident in the final product, especially after we've been burned so many times recently by other major releases. AAA games are getting buggier and buggier by the year, and it seems with the not so great reputation that licensed games have, Hogwarts Legacy really seems too good to be true at times. But every time I watch the gameplay showcases or trailers, I can't help but get hyped all over again. And I know I'm not the only one who really wants this game to be good, and if it lives up to expectations, it could completely change the industry, and I really mean that. If Hogwarts Legacy is a great game, it's going to change the way other publishers look at licensed games, and it will finally prove that amazing things can come from giving a developer the time and space they need to treat an established IP with respect. Yes, there are plenty of legitimate concerns regarding the developer's history or lack thereof, and the massive size of a game like this definitely leaves a lot of room for error, but I'm still super excited to get my hands on this game and see if it was worth the wait. Again, I don't want to be a cynic, but we have to be realistic with stuff like this. I was hyped for Cyberpunk 2077. The game released. It was buggy at launch. I was hyped for 2042. I posted a number of videos and news videos about it, hoping the game would improve. Once again, it didn't, and it still hasn't. And I truly don't want that to be the same case for this game. So hopefully Avalanche Software are up to the task, and I really think they may be. The wait will be over soon, and we'll have some answers. So let's just stay positive. Let's jump back on Hogwarts Express, but just get ready to exit at Hogsmeade Station, because we're going to need some butterbeer if we're going to deal with another nightmare that could happen with Hogwarts Legacy. But let's hope that doesn't happen and it all comes together in the end. But yeah, guys, that is going to wrap it up with this video. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I'm giving away a PS5 and a game of your choice for 90,000 subscribers. To enter, all you have to do is subscribe to my channel, comment your Twitter handle, follow me on Twitter, and send me proof that you're following to my Twitter or Discord. I'll also be doing a bonus entry if you follow my Twitch and my second channel and join my Discord. All of the links are in the description. Regardless of what you join, you will be entered to win the giveaway, and the winner will be announced at 90,000 subscribers. But that's going to wrap it up, guys. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for subscribing and supporting the channel as of recent. I really appreciate it. And until next time, this has been Wes, and I will talk to you guys in the next video.